Welcome back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with another video. And if you were around for the update last night, you'd know that they dropped two new heroes. And of course, I had to go ahead and take a look at them for you before I did anything else this morning. So, to try and keep this video short, we're just going to dive right into the new heroes that they created for us: Biochemical Lab Head Victor Blackwood and Scarlet Queen Bianca Drake. And without further ado, let's take a look at what they're capable of. First things first, let's take a look at Victor. And it is a leader commander, so there's not going to be a specific troop that he's buffing, but it is a garrison and defense commander. Now, we've seen some success with the range squad commanders specifically, and we know how well infantry does on garrisons. So having a leader specific already raises a little bit of a red flag with me, because the point of a garrison commander is to buff a single troop type in order to get the most out of them. But let's see how he does with stat buffs and abilities, and before we make any quick judgments. Okay? First skill, damage factor up to 12,500. If garrisoning, increases this skill's damage by 15%. 15% will probably put it around 15,000? 14,500, 15,000. Trying to do some quick math off the top of my head here. So it's a pretty powerful skill. It is a single target. One of the biggest draws for having, with it not being an infantry commander, it's not going to be a leader on garrisons out of the gate. But you already have Jacob here that hits 3 enemies, and Lewis way up here that hits 5 in a circular effect. So already that's kind of a no for me. Chances are, if you're on garrisons, you have to be able to defend against a single target and against multiple targets. So maybe he could fill that garrison versus rally gap, and we'll go from there. Second skill, increases own squad attack by 17% and HP by 17%. So it's not round numbers, and I think they were just doing that to avoid giving him as strong a buffs as they do single troop type commanders. But 17% in 2 different ones is already 34%, so not looking bad. But again, it's not going to be as high a buffs as a single troop type. Reduces skill damage taken by 17%, and when squad contains more than one troop type, increases squad attack by 20%. While I love this on Lee and other open field commanders for boosting attack power with small amounts of troops of 1, it doesn't really work well on garrison commanders. You're wanting to have all infantry. Now, can you switch to Victor once your garrison starts getting weak and you need to fill that garrison full of anything? Absolutely. The extra 20% attack power when you're starting to put riders and ranged into a tower, that might be effective here. When garrisoning, increases squad HP by another 20%. Oh, I'll have to do the math on all of these stat buffs. And basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal additional damage to the target. Now, that seems a little busted. 1920 is about an entire basic attack, and you have a 20% chance to deal a whole nother basic attack, and there's no cooldown on this. There's no, can only be activated once every 6 seconds. So this, on average, once every 5 seconds, you're dealing a whole nother basic attack's worth of damage. So let's just round it up to 4,000 per skill cycle, per 10-second skill cycle. that's nothing to scoff at when you're already dealing about 14,000 damage on your own turn. So I could see a lot of damage boosting capabilities alongside of someone like Jacob, who already increases all damage dealt when garrisoning and in multiple ways. And like I said before, 20, 20, and 34, you're looking at 74% in buffs from a single commander. But those are stat buffs. None of them are increases to damage, so take that as you will. Know that, like, for example, an increase in 20% in attack power for me is about the same as a 6.5%, about 6.5% increase to damage. So it's not going to add up to the same amount of buffs as, say, Jacob's 7.5% increase to squad damage. So take that as you will. And then we've got a standard buff to his primary skill, increases skill damage by 20% and ups the damage factor to 1375. That would be an extra 2750. Yeah, you're dealing over 16,000 in damage factor. That's 8 turns worth of basic attacks in a single skill. 8 turns of basic attacks on top of another 2 turns per skill cycle. That's a lot of skill damage that you could work to abuse. It gives you a lot of options if you're only going to be up against the rally. Granted, as soon as personally, if I saw this, as soon as I saw it, I would be working to try and swarm it. Just to try and get more damage out of it. So he would need to be paired with another non-infantry based commander in order to abuse it, or someone with a large amount of counter damage in order to avoid that problem. But I do see some promise for tower versus rally one-on-ones. So let's move on to Bianca Drake. Ooh, I like this already. Sorry, first thing I saw was instantly restores 20 rage up to 60 for 3 allies. So you're already boosting the skill cycle of commanders around you. That does require some coordination, though. Either you need to be able to get your own skill cycle down to about 5 or 6 seconds, or your allies need to boost their skill cycles up to the point where an extra 60 would actually make it faster. Because, say for example, you got to 1,000 exactly, an extra 60 on my turn isn't going to help you. It's not going to take off another second on its own. So we have to find some coordination to get that extra 40 somehow, or I have to be able to get my skills off fast enough to make that 60 happen twice on your turn, if that makes sense. And then you've got the standard increase of 38% to attack and defense. That there's no HP buff, which is kind of sad, but when everyone's been using... Where'd he go? There he is. When everyone's been using someone like Alex for so long, for the 40% squad buff to infantry and 40% attack buff to ranged, and 40% to rider HP, finally having another buffing commander on the team, it'll be nice. So we're going to need to protect her. Let's see how she does on her own. Increases squad defense by 24% and travel speed by 20. I don't... Why? don't see why the need for the 20% travel speed. She's not going to be put with riders. You're going to end up putting her with someone who can take a hit, and infantry doesn't need to move all that much from the front line if you're running this kind of buffing commander. So the 20% travel speed seems wasted unless you're moving in and out of the battlefield, but the 24% defense is nice. Increases squad attack by 20%. So we've got 44% in buffs right now, and increases basic attack damage by 6% if the remaining squad size is less than 50%. I feel like this skill was added to give her incentive to stay on the field even when she's weaker, but it does make an interesting pair with Eleno, which would give a reason to have the travel speed buff. So I don't know. Even an increase in 20% to basic damage when less than 50% still means you're doing less damage than you would be if you had a full set of troops. And you're also taking more damage because you don't have a full set of troops. Okay, this turns things around a little bit. Every 10 seconds grants a shield of 2,800 to up to 3 nearby allies for 3 seconds. That is a whole attack that you're blocking every 10 seconds. You'll find that using this will keep your allies and yourself. I see when it says up to 3 nearby allies, I don't think this will apply to her. So definitely something to look into. If it doesn't apply to her and she's only buffing other people, then you definitely need to pair her with someone who can take a hit. If it does apply to her, you can give her a commander that is a little less bulky and know that the shield will cover a little bit of that disadvantage. But otherwise, being able to buff your teammates with rage and shields and attack and defense buffs, I'm liking this. And funnily enough, I'm liking this for skills 1 and 4. Similar to the reasons I like 1. I like Alexander's travel speed on him because nothing's funnier to me than watching cars run around on the field. But he only had really 1, maybe 2 skills that were useful. And so far, I'm seeing 1, maybe, for herself. Maybe for herself is with the 20% attack. Just don't like this. And then you've got a shield. So, now, okay, we've buffed it again. Increases attack and defense by 42% for up to 5 allies for 4 seconds and instantly restores 60 rage to them. Now we're getting to the territory that we can just throw it out there and not have too much coordination, because eventually it's going to find people who it can boost their skill cycle. To boost the rage of 60, to boost the rage by 60 of yourself and 4 other people, we can probably coordinate this with commanders that already boost our rage. I'm trying to think of some combinations that would work for that, to be honest. I do like Raigoro. For the additional 20 to 60 rage if people are attacking him. I could see some abuses there in Arena. Otherwise, putting him with another bulky commander such as Tom or Thunder would honestly be a better idea. Just to throw additional buffs out there on top of the buffs and debuffs that Tom and Thunder already give. Because increasing damage to surrounding squads, reduces the attack of surrounding squads. And you've got Tom, who's reducing the damage of the target. It reduces damage taken by you and nearby allies. Kind of feels a bit like an infantry commander without any infantry buffs. So I'm definitely excited to see how this commander is going to play out. Simply because I like buffing my teammates and taking hits, and I haven't had a commander that buffs my teammates in a little while now. The closest I came recently was with Robert, and that's because I maxed out the shield to oneself and allied squad. Now I can add shields to a couple more people. Oh, and I'll make sure I get this in the video from now on. Victor is going to be the top commander reward for this particular cycle, for the next cycle, and Bianca will be the lucky roulette. If you're ever confused about how to obtain your commanders as they unlock, this will tell you. Just click claim down at the bottom and it'll tell you if they come from lucky roulette or top commander. And with that, I'm keeping this before it gets too long because I ramble. With that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.